Hello, I'm Matthew Gavidia. Today in the MGH Life Sciences Medical World News, the Center for Biosimilars is pleased to welcome Ryan Cox, Vice President of the Access Experience Team at Precision Value. Have payer or PBM policies on biosimilar formulary placement been right and fair all along, or are there some overlooked realities here that underlie these actions by large employers?
I think this is a challenge. If we look at the traditional levers that a payer uses to manage their formulary, uh, I would say at least it's been consistent. These are not interchangeable products, so they are looked at as a distinct competing product. So biosimilar or not, they're not interchangeable. They're going to be viewed as a distinct product that's going to compete against that originator. My job when I was a formulary decision maker was to make sure that we were providing the most cost-effective product, so clinically and from a cost perspective to our membership. So in this instance, without interchangeable, we view them as distinct products. Albeit biosimilar, you're going to expect the same safety and efficacy, but from that perspective is you don't have that ability to move market share without some type of utilization management tool in place. So I would say they've been consistent. The philosophy is whether it's fair, I think is up for debate. I think it's been consistent. I'll leave it at that.
And to build on that, what was the writing on the wall before and now?
I think the increased focus on the ability for biosimilars to drive down costs in the ever increasing trend on the specialty side, I think is going to continue to gain legs. More data come out. We have these large employers that are now adopting strategies to increase adoption of that. And I think payers, need to be aware of that and to look at things. And again, one of the things that I had said before is from that perspective, you don't want to be the last payer that hasn't been embracing biosimilars in some form. But I think there are some challenges out there, and those relate down looking at the low net costs opportunity, and if that rebate revenue goes away, how do you replace it? From that perspective, is you have a guarantee that you're paying your employers. That rebate dollar goes away, and you miss your guarantee, you're likely going to lose that business to somebody else. So I think those are some things that are still out there. And I think just, again, it goes back to some of the transparency. What is the value of the originator versus a biosimilar, not only from that gross perspective, which is very, very evident, but also looking at it from a net perspective is what is that employer getting from that low net cost of the originator potentially.
Employers want to save money with biosimilars, as payer or PBM responses to this need are complicated by manufacturer rebates or other deals. Do you see any two-way solution to these dynamics?
It's a very good question. I think from that perspective, it goes back to what I was talking about before is, from the perspective of the job of the payer, particularly with a self-employed employer. So they're basically hiring us to provide a network, but we're also making sure that they're getting the best deal for those medications. I think that having that open, honest conversation with them to understand what they're actually paying for that product at the end of the day, and if they go down a very aggressive path, it's fine. But you have to understand what the consequences are of that. What's the end result of that? So if we're losing, $10 million in rebates from the originator, are we getting that much in savings from, maybe a smaller rebate or non-rebated or biosimilar, and that. So yeah, I think there's that. I think that from the biosimilar manufacturer perspective is continuing to provide education out there, and also looking at ways that they can adequately compete with that originator product are ways to continue to bridge that.
How about mid-size employers without extensive healthcare resources like Costco? Do they have a voice with payers on biosimilar issues, and do payers need to take them seriously, and why?
I think honestly, as we're looking at whether it's a small or a mid-size employer, I think again, in the whole sum of things is we need to be looking at this is managing a population and managing them correctly. So regardless of the size of the employer, is looking at ways that from a payer perspective that we can optimize and ensure that we're providing access to effective and cost-effective products to our members, but also our patients from that perspective. Again, the mid-sized employer, depending on who their health plan is, you know, in the cases we're talking about medical benefit drugs, you know, looking at, are they working with a large national versus a regional that may be smaller, that they may have a little bit more, you know, ability to have some flex and experiment and pilot some of the programs that CalPERS, Costco, potentially even Disney have done. So yeah, I think there's definitely some opportunity, but again, it depends on who their health plan partner is.
And lastly, do you have any other concluding thoughts on these issues?
No, I think this will continue to be something that is going to be looked at as opportunities, particularly as the spend in the specialty drug category continues to drive the trend for payers. There's obviously several biosimilars that are going to be launching. I mentioned the biosimilars for adalimumab that are going to be coming out in 2023. That will be something to watch very closely. I don't know that it will be that turning point, but I think if it potentially could, particularly if there's interchangeability within there. But keep in mind how big Humira is, how much it's being and has been utilized. It's going to be coming into the market with some big players with those biosimilars. So that's going to be one that I definitely want to continue to watch and see how that plays out. Interchangeability, I think, is going to be the big driver. And I've been saying that for a couple of years. And my hope is a pathway to interchangeability, and we see the first interchangeable products come sooner rather than later. And I think that will help to continue to drive the uptake of these.
To learn more, visit our website at centerforbiosimilars.com. I'm Matthew Gavidia. Thanks for joining us.